I heard a pop, just really was all I heard was a popping noise, but it was enough to catch my attention. Sixth period, I have an office practice. Her name was Veva Mendoza, and we were in my office, which is at the far end of C building. So there was also another teacher from E building, but I cannot recall her name. And her class, she had about 30 kids, her class came into the Career Center, sixth period, to do research on colleges and careers and so forth. We heard 2 gunshots, Veva and I. And I could see coming down the hall this halo of smoke, and a halo of smoke, and a man walking. And I remember the camo pants, and he had like a bolero of bullets that he had across his neck and shoulders. Anyway, he was walking down the hall, just having this, I guess it was an automatic weapon that just was firing at random at everything. I remember seeing so much smoke and hearing a lot of popping, and I can still smell it. It was very, very distinct smell. And he was walking towards the hall, and Veva and I were both frozen. We were just frozen, watching him come closer and closer to us. And then Mr. Case, who was a substitute teacher that day, he came out of the classroom because there were no doors. He came around the classroom and kind of peered to look what was going on down there, and he got shot. He fell to the ground, and that's what moved me. It woke me up out of this daze, and I very quietly snuck down and undid the doorstop and pulled the door shut very quietly, as if he couldn't hear me or see me. I turned off the lights, and I turned around, and I said in this very dynamic voice, "Get down on the ground." And everyone dropped to the ground. There was a teacher in there with me. Her 30 students started crawling towards me on the ground. There's screaming and gunfire, and we don't know what to do. And I thought, we've got to get out of here. We've got to get out of this building or we're dead. So I very slowly opened the back door, and I could hear birds singing, and it was still quiet. And I thought, what the heck? I don't know if anybody's on the roof or not, but we're going to make a run for it. We've got to get out of here. And I had 15 kids, and we ran to the left. There was a little girl there with me who was very pregnant, very scared, a little Asian girl. She was horrified, and she grabbed my arm, and she never let go. So when I jumped those fences, she was hanging on to my arm, and she got over the fences with me. I remember being so scared when I was at the top of the fence, of the first fence. You know how they tell you that your life passes before you, and when I was on top of the fence, I thought, now's when they're going to kill us. We ran straight across the street into a house on the corner. I grabbed the screen door and I pulled it off its hinges and ran in that house. That poor woman was so scared, bless her heart, and I yelled, "Get down." So it took me about 45 minutes to get everyone calmed down. I had all the kids sign in their name and a phone number, and I started making phone calls to their parents and assured their parents I wasn't releasing these kids to anyone but them. They had to come and get their kids, and they did. 3.5 hours later, I finally went out on the street. I made the kids stay in, and I went out on the street, and walking down the street was one of my teachers, Chris Young. He was just lost walking down the street, and he and I ran to each other, and we were crying and hugging, and we thought we were the only 2 that made it out, just us and those 15 kids. It was devastating. And then 10 minutes later, here came Mr. Ledford, another teacher, running. He was running past us, and we went, "Wait, what's going on? What happened?" And he said, "My teacher's been shot. Mr. Brent's has been shot." Now I had a handle on what was going on, that someone was holding kids hostage upstairs, that it was a former student. But I just couldn't leave, not with 86 kids up there, I think 80-some kids. I saw Eric Houston come out of the building. You know, he was handcuffed, and anyway, they took him in. we went back over to Yuba Gardens, and that's when I found out about Beeman and Judy and Jason, that they had died also. If I would have been killed that day, I would want you to talk about me, not forget about me. I don't think we should ever forget. We should not forget. It can happen. It does happen. It did happen. And we miss those 4 people that are no longer with us. And all of us, all 1,200 of us, will never forget it. It was earth-shattering.